TechBharat is envisioned as a platform to support startups, SME, and be a guiding light to them in navigating their entrepreneurial journey. We are lucky to have found support from the Government of India and Government of Karnataka at every stage, and we thank the ministers, officials, and representatives of the Department of Education, Department of Health and Family Welfare, Department of Science and Technology, AICTE, VTU, and CSIR in encouraging us and supporting our vision. We welcome you to this session on technology to education, as technology and technological tools help prepare school children for robust digital future. 21st century skills are necessary for both learners and tutors to be successful in tomorrow's world. The virtuous use of technology not only motivates the learner, cultivates skills, enhance multi-sensory approach to elementary education, provides interactive approach to learning, but equally enables the teacher to extend her content level to suit different learning styles, both in improving the learning experience and implementing differentiated instructions. It is very obvious for schools to embrace technology, as a majority of the future jobs are enriched with digital components, and also online teaching and learning platform is discovering new approach to teaching and learning is the need of the hour. To discuss it further, we have eminent panel with us today. Firstly, I would like to welcome Mr. Sandeep Senan, founder of Bbox Labs. He will be moderating this session too. Mr. Sandeep is an entrepreneur, technologist, innovative entanglist, and a STEAM Plus educator. He promotes innovative and student entrepreneurship, impacting thousands of students through Vishweshwaraya Technology University, Health Technology Business Incubator Innovation Drive. He designed and implemented Bbox Innovation Lab, a 21st century innovative learning program for schools. Presently, over 100K students are part of the program. He holds a 3 patent filed and has published various research papers. He has been awarded India's top 10 innovators under 35 by MIT Technology Review and Mint. We cordially welcome you and thank you for accepting our invitation and moderating this session, Mr. Sandeep Senan.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. And we also have Mr. Bhaskaran Rangarajan, founder and chief strategist of HidenMet Solution Private Limited, with us today. He holds a master degree in computer application and is an alumnus of IIM Bangalore. He represents Earth networks in India for the enterprise sector, including K-12 education. Earth Networks is the world's leader in weather solution that runs the largest weather network in the world, with over 12,000 automatic weather stations and over 1,800 lighting sensors. Serving one or two countries, Bhaskaris is also a founder of HidenMet Solution, which is a value-added reseller partner of Earth Networks in India. Indra Vajra, a lighting detector and an early warning mobile app, was developed by HidenMet and is also official lightning and dangerous thunder storms alerting app for the state of Bihar. Through the collaboration between Earth Networks and Globe, a NASA initiative, HidenMet brings a unique STEAM program to schools in India called CLASS, expanding to climate learning and student safety. A very warm welcome to you, Mr. Bhaskar. And also we have Mr. Manoj Chawla, a Chief Business Officer of TechBharat Technology, with us today. TechBharat Technology develops innovative and future-ready learning management platform. He is an engineer from National Institute of Technology, Surat. He is about 35 years of experience in EdTech, e-learning, skill development, and education management. The vision of TechBharat Technology is to build a product which will make learning interesting, fun, interactive, and to offer services to course builders with an authentic, engaging, creative, and challenging. We are excited to have you here and welcome you, Mr. Manu Chawla.
Thank you.
And also, we have Mr. Abhishek Balla, co-founder Extra Edge with us today. Mr. Abhishek has helped the team growing at 112% ARR, rise 3 rounds of venture capitals and business at 35 members strong team. Prior to Extra Edge, Abhishek was a product manager at Mind Article in and also award-winning ASIL and ANE funded startup. Abhishek has proven track record and in-depth product management experience and built winning go-to-market team. Prior to Mind Tackle, he was a big data architect at HSBC Global Technology with 3 years of bank UK office in London. We cordially invite you, Mr. Abhishek, for this session. And I now request Mr. Sandeep Senan to take over the session and moderate it.
Thank you, Chaitra, for the kind introduction. I think that gives a glimpse of everyone who is there on the panel. Delighted to have all the panelists here. Welcome once again. I think as per what I have discussed, we are going to keep this within 50 minutes to an hour. That's what I have been given the time. So let's stick to the time. There's a structure which I was thinking broadly, maybe the panelists can also suggest what works. So I had a discussion with Vishu was that we would create initially a brief introduction of what we are doing if anything is missed out, which I think, or maybe something which is relevant to the topic which we want to talk about. Like technology and education, that's what we are talking about. So any new perspectives from each of your fields, what you want to put in, or maybe what your company has been doing or you have been individually doing in the field. So let's keep a brief introduction about that, and then from there I have a few questions which each one of you can answer or maybe pick it up, and then later Vishu can probably see if there are any audience chat messages which are coming up, and they can put in the questions. I hope this is fine with all the panelists. Sounds good?
Sounds good.
Okay, so I think I'll start with Bhaskaran sir. So if you want to go ahead with what is your thought on the topic, or what aspect of the topic you want to talk about?
Definitely. So let me give a quick introduction about myself and also about what my company does. So that will give a perspective on what we're trying to do with the education sector, particularly since my company is focused on K-12. I'd like to give a little brief on what we are doing there. So basically, my background is I've done my master's in computer applications long back, 1987, and then I went on to be a software engineer, and then did a executive general management program from IIM Bangalore. And in the meantime, I spent about 7 years in the US working with various corporates and came back to India. And I've been an entrepreneur for the last several years. And this is one of my very recent ventures called HidenMed Solutions. I started my journey with HidenMed Solutions as a value-added reseller partner of Earth Networks in the early 2019. At that point in time, Earth Networks was an individual company, still being a world leader in weather solutions, having a good network of weather stations and lightning sensors. They hold a couple of patents with respect to lightning detection and early warning systems. And then towards end of 2019, they were acquired by Union Park Capital. And in the process, they became a part of a 7-company conglomerate called AEM, Advanced Environmental Monitoring. So, there are several other companies like Davis Instruments, OneRain, Lambrecht, and, High Sierra Electronics, all primarily focused on hydrology and meteorology kind of solutions. And as a part of the work that Earth Networks has been doing, they partnered with one of the initiatives of NASA called GLOBE. GLOBE stands for Global Learning and Observations to Benefit the Environment. So it's a learning and a research platform fully funded by NASA. What they primarily do is, they make schools, across the world as a part of their network take hyperlocal environmental data from the schools, and also provide access to worldwide environmental data to schools for students who are interested in doing research, on climate-related topics. So that's one of the objectives. And in the process, they've developed a whole bunch of learning modules, classroom activities and experiments, for K to 12 schools, kindergarten all the way to 12. There are age-specific modules that are available all the way from kindergarten to 12th grade, which are like what can be simple PDFs. These are resources that are available that teachers can use when they are preparing their lesson plan, to classroom activities, to experiments and practical activities and stuff like that. They can go out, do some soil sensing. They can do some water quality sensing, air quality sensing, and other things. And what Earth Networks has done, they have partnered with Globe in providing technology and then blending it with Globe. What we are trying to do is, we have created a program called CLASS. CLASS stands for Climate Learning and Student Safety. When I say climate learning, that comes from Globe. Student safety, the technology bit, is coming from Earth Networks. So from Earth Networks, we bring a weather station, which actually is from Davis Instruments. Those are all group companies. So we install an automatic weather station in a school, and that measures about 32 weather parameters every minute and sends the data directly to Globe and also to Earth Networks central cloud. Now, what happens after that? We create what is called as an online weather center, which we provide to schools, and they're able to see the current observations and also forecast for the next 7 days. And they can look at various different parameters. There's a visualization, and then they can download the data and whatnot. So that's one part of the technology that we provide to schools. And we also have another software solution called Spheric Maps. Spheric Maps takes data from all the environmental observation points across the world and provides a weather visualization, to students. It's almost like a weather channel. If somebody were to be watching a weather channel, as the newsreader is taking you through different parts of the world, zooming in, zooming out, showing you forest fire in one part of the world and flooding in another part, somewhere some tsunami is happening, and heavy rainfall, thunderstorms, lightning, and whatnot. There are about 95 map layers that are available as a part of Spheric Maps, and this provides for an excellent experiential learning experience for students of school. And besides being a visualization platform, Spheric Maps also is an alerting platform. Depending on the specific location, the lat-long combination of the school, and the weather parameters that the school is concerned about, whenever the weather parameters are crossing a certain threshold, like for example, you don't want students going out and playing when the heat index is beyond a certain threshold. And then when there is going to be lightning and dangerous thunderstorms happening in the next 30 to 45 minutes, we'd like the children to get back. We don't want them swimming in the swimming pool. So things like that. So we are able to provide them timely alerts and warnings through Spheric Maps alerting platform. Globe, like I said, provides a lot of opportunities for teachers to get trained and certified on a variety of Earth spheres, atmosphere, hydrosphere, pedosphere, biosphere. So they can get certified. It's almost like getting a certificate from NASA. And the students, they get to learn the various topics that Globe proposes by having their teachers integrate those classroom activities, experiments, and resources provided by Globe as a part of their lesson plans. So we have curriculum experts, who are mapping these modules with CBSE and ICSE curriculum. So we're providing them guidelines in terms of how they can enrich and enhance their classroom lesson plans. So those are the things. Plus, besides that, Globe also provides huge opportunities for students of a school to collaborate with students from 25,000 other schools across the world and be part of common research projects. And some of the teachers, can also be coming and running and driving these projects, with participants from schools from different parts of the world. So those are things. Plus, Globe also provides opportunities to students for submitting papers in international symposia, international competitions, international fairs, be it virtual, be it in person. So those are all the various things that are being provided. So this is not exactly, I would say, technology to enhance learning, but technology-based learning when it comes to climate change and the impact of climate change on human life being the hottest topic being discussed across the world. We felt appropriate that we offer this to students in the school. We charge very, very less. We charge like 200, 300 rupees per student per year. So it's more of a social cause. HydenMet invests in the hardware. We bring in the weather stations. We install them in the school. We started this program fairly recently, and it's picking up pretty well. So it's one of the things, and of course, HydenMet focuses on other things in agriculture and disaster management. We have our mobile application that's being used by the state of Bihar at the moment, and soon by a few other state departments as well. So this gives a quick introduction about what we do in K-12. And to give a little perspective of my involvement in technology and K-12, I have been the IC consultant for Indus International School for 3 years from 2008 to 2011, almost about 12 years back to 9 years back. So for 3 years, I've been providing them advice, for all the three schools, the Bangalore, Pune, and Hyderabad. So that's about my introduction, and I'll let you move on to the next.
Thank you, sir. It was quite an interesting perspective of what you have been doing, especially looking at climate learning in school. I think that's definitely new in STEM education. I'd like to talk to you more, but I think I'll go to the next panelist, Abhishek.
Yeah, good afternoon. So first of all, my apologies. I'm in an airport, so you might hear a bit of noise in my background. So apologies for that. I hope you're able to hear me loud and clear.
Yes. Sound
So
is okay.
So not a great pedigree like Mr. Bhaskaran. So very simple. I'm an engineer by graduate. I worked for HSBC, then worked for Mindtickle, and as a data scientist and as product manager. And we run a company called Extra Edge, where we help the admission teams of education institutes predict, manage, and increase their admissions. So it's like a kind of vertical SaaS CRM and marketing automation, helping the sales teams of universities, K-12, coaching, test prep, edtech companies to optimize their cost of acquisition and to increase their conversions. So all the known sales tools that you could think of, like a CRM, marketing automation, video chat component to it, is what we provide. We work with near about 220 odd brands. A 5-year-old company raised around near about $2 million in venture money, and are building and basically making sales predictable for this industry. So if you look at education industry for the past 30 years and in technological adoption, there are products like ERP, learning management systems. They have been commodity and mainstream for a long period of time. But then you look at other industries like retail, where you have something like Capillary. You have in wellness and spas, you have Zenoti. You have YMO in banking and financial services. You don't have a vertical sales tool for education industry that per se. So we are basically building that and helping the admission teams and outreach teams with the marketing teams in brands like maybe Indus International to understand about their prospect students, their behavior, and make the right marketing and sales motions to increase their conversions. So that's primarily what we do. We are a 50-member team based out of Pune with offices all across India. And and one of the things we are very excited about is that how we could use things like machine learning and prediction to really help a brand meet a right prospect, be it a kid or a parent or a student, and have the right matchmaking to it. So which further leads to a positive employment goal and a right match, a right fit for the university and the students. So that's what on a 30,000 feet level what we are solving.
Thanks, Abhishek. Thanks for the quick intro. Manoj, sir?
Yeah. Okay. Good afternoon, everyone, and good morning. And let me just explain what's my background and how I could contribute in this technology for education. I come from an experience, a huge amount of work experience in the hardcore private sector education industry since a very long period of time. I've been a B2C player, I've been a B2B player, and have seen the groundswell of IT education happen in India. Over the last 10 to 15 years, I have been very active in anything to do with technology in education. So whether it be a video conference based education, whether it be VSAT based, whether it be tablet based, and now recently, of course, there is so much more which has started happening. So I've seen how it has evolved and have been lucky to be part of this beautiful industry where we really impact millions and therefore the future of how education is happening. I am associated with TechBharat Technologies, and TechBharat Technology is really focused upon, yes, it is, you can call it a learning management platform. However, it's much more than a learning management platform. One, because we have evolved over the last 10 years of our operation. So we've been in this industry for 10 years doing technology in education, and have been supporting a lot of coaching class companies, lots of schools, lot of universities, lots of corporates, lots of skill development companies with a platform. So we provide a interactive learning platform with the basic objective of making learning fun and engaging. I think that's the key behind it. So and we have spread ourselves significantly. We are already operating in 11 countries. We offer the platform in 6 different languages. The platform can be used for self-paced learning, for online learning, and as well as for large-scale assessments. And we work across full life cycle segments such as schools, test prep companies, higher education, and skill development. And the basic platform works seamlessly across Windows, across Android, across iOS, and any other platform that is there, with the key facilities of being able to also learn offline. So we have a huge connectivity issue in India, okay, and nobody will deny that. And it's very important to be able to learn digitally when the internet is not good. So because when it is good, of course, everything works beautifully. But when it is not good, can it work as beautifully? And I think that's what we really are able to do. And with recent innovations, we have brought in a lot of gamification, a lot of algorithm-based learning, okay, and a lot of adaptive learning, which is getting built in. So the modern pedagogies of learning are part of the platform. So that's the background that I come with, and I think with COVID having come in, okay, in fact, technology adoption is no more a choice. It is almost a must. It's a matter of what type of technology is more effective for learning. I think that's the place at which we are right now. Back to you, Sandeep.
Oh, thank you, sir. I think we got a fair idea of all the panelists and what is their background. Rangarajan sir and Manoj sir, so what are your views on this, right? In your particular fields, so pre-COVID, post-COVID, there has been definitely a shift, and it is quite evident with the way the companies have been getting registered, the focus on the new age entrepreneurs looking at education differently. Because I remember back in 2000, even 5 years back, 2015, 2010, when education was looked from an entrepreneurship angle, no one really did make any success. And then we have Byju's, which started becoming big. And recently, the companies like Whitehead Junior, they have been, and if you look at it during the COVID time also, there have been a lot of new companies which came into the education field. So what do you see as the shift which is happening?
Okay. So, okay, like I mentioned in my introduction, we've been in this education technology area for the 10 years, and we have seen a steady increase in the adoption of technology. But yes, because the question is particularly to do with how this pandemic has made the changes. I think other than the fact that there are people who no more question technology in education. Earlier, that was a question which had to be answered. Now that's not a question anymore. People adopt to technology, not because they like to, but possibly what is called as the Tina factor. Okay, there is no alternate. So because there is no alternate, okay, they have adopted technology. Now the key question would really be, would this be sustainable? Okay. However, okay, rather than getting into that, I would say that there are 3 basic things which have started because of the pandemic. Okay, and particularly because of the pandemic. Number 1, okay, is that there is much more appreciation of the role of the teacher and the educator in education. Earlier, the teacher was one who was in school. Now, the teacher is on the computer screen, and there are lots of times that the parents are also in the classroom because they are also behind the student, and therefore they start understanding what is the teacher really doing in the school, which is happening over various virtual platforms. So there is newfound appreciation of the role of teachers, okay, which has happened. Second thing which has also happened, which is not very positive, but on one hand it's very important to bring it out, is because everything seems to have shifted to technology, it has also brought out the extreme economic differences and the inequality between the students. So on one hand, the urban students have got very good technology, whereas the people who are in the tier 3 or the tier 4 or rural backgrounds, they don't even have a handheld device. So therefore, the inequality and the social inequality is now visible, and newer solutions are coming up. And to that extent, it's very positive because it brings about a lot of a lot of innovation which will happen. And the third thing which has come out is that the teachers have, okay, till now, again, everybody was focusing only on the students, but I would say that this pandemic has also brought about the need for better training of the teachers. The teachers, okay, we suddenly realize are not as equipped to teach online, because teaching online is not only about delivering the lecture, but how do you really make a virtual session engaging? I think these are the three big changes that have happened, or rather these three, not changes, these three triggers have been activated because of the pandemic, other than the fact that the acceptance of technology in education has become like a standard format currently.
Yeah. Rangarajan sir, do you have anything to add?
Yeah. A good number of things that Mr. Manoj mentioned, I completely agree. And in fact, if you look at the pre-COVID and post-COVID situation, in fact, this is one of the comments Mr. Manoj made earlier during his introductory note, that technology is no longer a choice. Technology has to be there. Technology needs to exist. Now, what is going to happen, post-COVID? Let's say, the vaccine drive, goes on for the next 6 months, 1 year, completely everybody gets vaccinated. Then there is a platform being made available for all students to get back to schools. But there are going to be certain permanent changes that are going to emerge. These permanent changes are going to be a choice that a student is going to be able to exercise, which is either do they want to go to school and learn, or do they want to stay home and learn, right? Because that's where the technology enablement is going to be playing a major role. Now, what I'm looking at here is that, like teachers, teacher is one kind of an enabler. Similarly, technology is going to be another enabler. Now, the quality of content that was there 10, 15, 20 years back, we were living in the days of, when technology introduction, we had those slideshows, we had slides being shown using a projector. From there, we are going to, right now, game-based learning, simulation-based learning, the kind of technology, AI, and all kinds of stuff. So content is going to be the king going forward, in terms of the variety of contents that are going to be delivered to students and made available. And connectivity, like Mr. Manoj mentioned, is a key issue, but like what he has been mentioning, the connectivity issue, when connectivity is there, you go to live session. When connectivity is not there, you listen to pre-recorded session, you play a game, you go through a simulation. There are so many different ways of using technology to learn. And definitely the teacher's role is going to be important as well. And the teacher is going to be an enabler in a far more effective manner compared to the way it is today. Because today, right from morning till evening, if assuming pre-COVID situation, teachers have been just teaching the same old thing over and over and over and over again. Now that, let's say, for example, these are recorded and made available. Anybody can plug in, log in, listen to, go through a pre-recorded session. The teacher is going to play the key role, the most important role of being an enabler, for the student when and where they need them. So that's where it is going to be. My take is that the roles are going to be adjusted a little bit. And the content is going to play a very, very important role, driven by varieties of technologies, including artificial intelligence, machine learning, augmented reality and whatnot. So that's virtual and augmented reality. Those are the ones that are going to play a major, major role going forward. That's my take.
Okay.
Sorry, guys.
Yeah, I think he's
Abhishek.
back.
So, Abhishek, a quick question for you. In your field, post-COVID, what exactly, what transformations do you see happening, or is there any transformation at all? What do you see before 2020 and after 2020? What changes?
If you see what's happening to education, so there are some industries which are slow moving in terms of technological pervasiveness, like education and hospitals, and even real estate. So what has happened is that retail, banking, and financial services, they saw a lot of innovation in the late 90s and early 2000s, where a lot of companies started to work on these things. Education and healthcare, hospitals, and real estate has been like very slow movers because of the nature of this industry. In the last 10 to 15 years, if you look at real estate, if you look at hospitals, if you look at education, because of a new generation buyer, and I think uh, you know more aware companies who are solving the right business model, we are seeing a lot of changes. And just to give an example, it was so difficult to get a flat on a rent. It was so difficult to get information about admissions. It was so difficult to get you know uh, information about a doctor in your locality. I mean, we did not have that access. Now we have, right? So what's happening to these old, slow-moving technological pervasive industries is that they are getting really kind of disrupted, where there was a middleman. And if you look at education, there were a lot of middlemen involved in buying, purchasing, technological adoption. Now they're getting all eliminated, like the rickshaw wala is getting eliminated, or the grocery guy is eliminated today. So I think the buyer and seller, there's a new dynamics that's happening in every industry if you look at it. Same is happening in education. There is a new 21st century learner or a millennial there, and that's the change what we are seeing. And COVID has just accelerated that change. So no COVID, this would have been happened. COVID has just accelerated it by probably 8 to 10 years. So what promise of technology was there for education, that is now happening with the right business model. Okay, very clearly. And take a good example of somebody like us, Extra, right? We are solving admissions. Now it's not possible for me and you to go to a university and fill a form physically now. It has to be online, right? The students will discover online because they don't follow a herd mentality like engineering and medical that my dad and probably we used to have when we were applying for universities. So for a new buyer, the seller has to become intelligent, has to be discoverable, has to be predictable. And this change you are seeing right from how you buy fish and curry and mutton, chicken, and how you are looking for education. And that's happening. So I think my perspective is that there's a buyer and seller paradigm shift that's happening across all industries. COVID is accelerating it, technology is enabling it, and this is happening at a razor fast speed in education because it did not happen earlier.
So thanks, Abhishek. So this brings, I would put in a context for the next question to make it a little bit more interesting. So me and a few of my friends who are having kids were discussing saying that, and I was asking them, are you going to send your kids back to school after this? And many of them said, yes, definitely. And then I asked them, what is the reason that you are actually sending? Are they not learning at home? No, definitely they're learning at home. The thing is that we want our time. So that is one of the reasons we are sending them to home. And this is true for school-going kids. But then I asked, what is the relevance of, let's say, 18 years old plus, who can learn on their own? And most of the engineering colleges or the people who are in colleges can learn on their own, right, at their own space. So my question to the panel is that, where do you see the need for big buildings and infrastructure in university and school education? Do you think all these 5 days, 6 days a week is going to keep coming, or are they only going to be, like when I asked college going students, a few of them said, so we still need labs, right? So maybe for the lab, we will go once in a week and come back. But apart from that, I don't think there is a need for us to go to the classroom and learn. So what are your perspectives about it? Rangarajan sir, what is your view of it? The need for physical infrastructure, what do you see in the post-COVID?
Like some of your friends said, we need our space, so let the students go back to school. And there is a lot of fun related interactions, that the kids are also looking forward to. There's another reason, why the students, some of the students, or majority of the students may want to go back to school. But like I said, there is going to be a long-term impact in terms of COVID. COVID is like what Abhishek was mentioning. It's accelerated some of these technology adoptions, by about 8 to 10 years, and which we probably couldn't have accomplished otherwise. So it has opened our eyes to a new set of dynamics of the seller and the buyer, like he's saying, the teacher and the students, and the school and the students, and the school and the parents. Now, what is going to happen, the long-term impact of this is that schools are going to expand in terms of the number of students that they have, with a combination of those who are coming in and learning and those who prefer to stay home and learn. The same is going to happen in colleges and universities. Like for example, my son is doing his second year, computer science in University of British Columbia in Canada. We sent him back to the campus, but he's sitting there, in his apartment and learning, from his apartment online. Classes are being there, right? So it's going to be a combination of that. And there are lectures being listened to earlier, in a huge hall. One teacher is giving a lecture. About 400 students are physically sitting there and attending this program. Now, what is going to happen? The same 200, 300, 400 people may be attending a lecture, but there are 20,000 others, who could be hooked on from their homes and attending the same lecture. So it is going to provide an opportunity for colleges, schools, and universities to expand its student base without having to put up additional physical infrastructure. So that is what is going to happen.
Yeah. So Rangraj,
Yes.
sir, if you are saying, so what I am visualizing, right, if I were to put some numbers to it, what you are saying is that, let's say if an university has a seat number in computer science as 50 or 100 students, now they would say that physically, if you have to go through the course, you can pay an X money, which is the full university fees, but you can sit at home and also get an online degree, but which is at this. Is that what you're actually saying?
That is definitely a possibility, and that's already happening. In fact, in the same college, where the physical interactions and classes and other things were happening, the tuition fees and other things were a certain level. Now, the colleges are compelled to do only online classes, and the fees have been dropped. There has been a reduction in the fees. So this is what is going to emerge as an option going forward, where education may become a little bit less expensive, with the number of students expanding to much larger than what physically a university or a college can accommodate. And again, what is going to happen? There are going to be specialized services which are going to start mushrooming. Like, for example, you said, some schools and colleges may not have the kind of lab facility that some other school and college may have. So individual labs may come up, and then people, they may want them to be more hyperlocal chains, going to those labs, engaging times from 10 to 11, finishing their experiments and getting graded, and not necessarily have, 20, 30 kilometers, to go to a university or a college and sit there from morning till evening and then, be part of the lab sessions, right? So it is again going to be a choice. So a choice is going to emerge, where a bunch of people may prefer to stay in campus, a bunch of them may prefer to stay at home or stay wherever they are, true is going to happen going forward.
Very interesting, sir. So Abhishek, you have anything to add to this?
Yeah, I think the honest answer is nobody knows. Okay, so we all may hypothesize, but nobody knows what's going to happen, because there are so many variables associated with it that we don't know. I mean, like a government policy might just overall all our thought process right away, right? So the answer is that we don't know what's going to happen to physical universities. What we definitely know is that what is going to be challenged. So the real estate property of a university is going to be challenged, the real estate property of a lawyer in Manhattan is today getting challenged. Why would I pay so much rental for a flyer in Manhattan when I can work from home, right? So that will be challenged. Second is that I think private intervention will happen. We are seeing upgrade eruditus and what they are doing. So a private university collaboration will happen very clearly. I think what will also happen is that there would be different ways for people to skill themselves. So a lot of private tutors are starting up, and they are becoming teachers on these platforms. And what I believe, and I'm come from technology, not from education per se, I operate in education. I believe that colleges and universities will learn to live with this new change. It's not that they will die away, they'll go away. No, I don't think that will happen. I think the dynamics will change. What used to happen when you probably enroll in Harvard Business School, right? That you go to class for a case study based discussion. You don't go to study per se. You study on your own. You go there for more immersive discussion with your peers. Similar to those kind of models, those kind of different models will emerge, and that will be there. It will be a great opportunity to rethink this whole process from a government policy point of view, from a university privatization point of view, and from delivery point of view, and how the needs for a private player like Upgrad or other university will play in. So I see this, Sandeep, as an excellent opportunity to start with maybe some kind of clean slate and with no biases there. So rather than this will disappear or that will appear, I think we should all leave that to time. And I think
Yeah,
that's my
but
point.
it's good to speculate, no, Abhishek. So why, when you said this, right, it also brought me an example. I had one of my designer here in my company who said he was going to do masters in 2019. He said, sir, 2020, I want to prepare and go to my masters. Now he's actually taking up a product design course in Udemy, and he's happy with it and saying, sir, I've dropped my plan. So I'm picking up all the skills on Udemy. I never thought that would have been the case, but I think this is happening. And because he's doing it, one of the juniors who joined after him is also saying that, sir, I am also going to pick up that, and hardly cost them any money. And they're also practicing on the job. So they are earning at the same time they're also. So I think that's
Sandeep,
interesting.
just
Yeah.
to add to you, MOOCs completion rate and online programs completion rate are a disaster. And I think what has happened that after this year in COVID, that rate has started to improve,
Improve.
because
Very true.
not that we have become conscious and we have become proactive about learning. No, it's that we don't have an option.
Yeah, you don't have an option, just like
No,
sir told me.
it has impacted that. And what every university is asking today a question that how can we operate like a edtech company? And I think we as private players need to look them and need to help them and assist them in various capacity to come up the value chain. And I think a public private partnership that has happened in other industries and sectors will
Will
be
start
really
happening.
very interesting to see.
Okay, Manu sir, what is your view? You have been there in the industry for a long time, so I think you have seen quite a lot of ups and downs which is happening.
Yeah, okay. I think Abhishek started off stating the same thing which I wanted to, with saying that
We really don't know.
the depending on whom you ask, the vision of the future of education changes. So, so even three of us who are on this panel will have different views. So, but that's perfectly okay. See, but when you look at it at a very simple level, what has currently happened is interactive whiteboards, tablet, lot of video content, lots of solutions, lot of AI and ML algorithms. Everything is happening. Everybody is trying to teach using technology. In fact, companies claim everything except that they are able to download the knowledge to the child's brain. So they are able to download. But no, that's not the case. The way I look at it, is that education is actually a continuum. So really speaking, when you look at school, when you look at college, when you look at adult education, they are going to actually have a very different way of it. So primary and middle schools, right up to grade 8th, kindergarten to grade 8th, they not only go to school to learn and have knowledge, but they really also go for a lot more social skills. So the social skills are extremely important at the growing up age. So till the time you are 15 years or 13 years, you need to have social skills, and therefore the kindergarten to 5th or 6th, 7th, 8th, up to that, there will be a lot of transformation, a lot of people going back to school. The ones which are in the higher school, that is 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, it will shift over significantly to a blended learning. So that segment, which is fairly independent, the college segment, which does not really go to college for social skills, will become more independent, and it will be more biased towards a blended learning model. Whereas the executive education, people like you and me who want to do further education through Udemy or Coursera or any such thing, could go much more pure technology. So it's actually a continuum of change, that is likely to happen. And in that continuum of change, okay, what is likely to happen is that the role, and I go back to my opening statement, what is really going to change is going to be the role of the teacher. The teacher is going to now become, instead of a teacher, will become a coach, will become a facilitator. In fact, parents are going to become better consumers of education services, and new education measurement performance measures are going to emerge. Now, what are those? We really don't know, but these are definite trends, okay, which one can see, okay, happening.
Okay, thank you, sir. Another quick follow-on question. I think, see, especially when you look, parents, the role of parents have started becoming quite important, especially during the COVID time, right? So what exactly do you see foregoing? What exact role? So do you think it is going to remain the same, or is it going to, both from the perspectives of looking at kids in the school and from the college, what changes do you see? Anyone, everyone need not answer, but anyone who's or has a perspective can.
Sandeep, so I think the question. I'm just repeating the question. You're saying that what are the expectations from parents for the new education? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah.
I think you need to see that the parents, who are these guys, right? They are not born in 60s and 70s.
Right.
They're probably born in 80s and 90s. So they are not baby boomers. They are probably Gen Y. In that case. So they are born in an era of computer, and they understand and they have been probably born in an era when they were educating that engineering and medical and UPSC are the only career choices, which they don't want to enforce on their kids. So when we speak to a lot of colleges and they tell how the parents think, I think diversification of skills is very important for them, for their kids. And the kids probably don't follow the herd mentality in the first place anyways, right? And neither they listen to their parents. So I think
Neither did we.
and
We had no choice.
the beauty here is that how the brands, and the brands I mean universities and learning avenues need to target and need to start the messaging for these new age parents, and where they want more counseling, more advice, more career options, and diversified options, sandwich programs, so as to speak. Can I do something here, something there, and so on and so forth? So parents will have new expectations, and kids will also have new expectations, and brands need to understand that. And a new type of university, or a hybrid type of university, I mean, I just quote some names, right? Universities like OP Jindal, Ashoka, they are trying to create a very different kind of framework of probably kind of build something like what John Hopkins and those kind of people, Kennedy School of Business Policy, Public Policy, they have done in India. I think that is something that really needs to be done, and that is what will attract this new middle class educated parents born in 80s, I would say.
Rangarajan, any view on what is the parents' role you see, either from as a stakeholder perspective or from the expectation perspective, which Abhishek just told?
Well, when it comes to parents, I think, we're forgetting the fact that I would say majority, about 60 to 70% of parents of children, who go to government schools, to, smaller schools, which cannot afford technology, there is absolutely no change. It's kind of a good number of them, or a good percentage of them probably are feeling that, they have lost almost a year of education for their children. So there, the changes may not be much. But what we are talking about in terms of technology, usage of technology, are those private schools, the international schools, those schools who have been successful in having online classes happen. So those parents, the perspectives are changing, right? They actually are witnessing more of class and teaching happening, online, by peeping from behind the back. More than ever before. They used to send the children to classes, until somebody comes and complains, hey, this is not happening, that's not happening, they don't really care. But right now they're physically seeing what's happening. In fact, there are some positive changes, there are some negative changes, but people are realizing, oh man, is this how they teach? That's one expression. And on the other side, they say, wow, not bad at all, something good is happening. So it's kind of a mixed bag. And definitely technology is going to play a role. The class of people, who are going to be starting to think that, hey, the blended learning, as other panelists were mentioning, is going to kind of start increasing, right? And then there are also the number of parents, who start getting convinced that, hey, homeschooling is the best way to go, with availability of technology and content and options that are out there. Those things are happening only, I would say, from upper middle class onwards, right? But there's a huge parent community, starting from middle class and lower. There the changes are hardly any. They're feeling left out completely. They don't have much of a choice. That we are seeing physically. Among people. Schools are shut. Nothing is happening. Slowly something is happening, but pretty much people are feeling that they've lost a year.
No, sir.
I need to drop off.
Yeah,
Unfortunately, I'll miss my flight.
Sure,
So I think it was a pleasure,
Abhishek.
and
Take care. Have a safe flight.
yeah,
Thanks for joining us on
pleasure
the
meeting
panel.
Mr. Manoj and Mr. Bhaskar.
Yeah,
Thank you.
same here. Bye-bye. Yeah. So my take.
Nice meeting you too.
Yeah, my take here is that like Mr. Rangarajan said, yes, there is a divide which is there, the middle and the lower income group, okay, or the people who don't have great facilities. We may not see them having a great impact right now, okay, but it will happen. What is definitely going to happen? The role of the parents, especially in the urban centers, they are already sitting inside the classroom, because when the teacher is teaching, the parent may be sitting behind the student and understanding what the teacher is teaching. So what is going to really change is that from what traditional schooling has been, which is all about content delivery, it has already started shifting to making engaged learning. So how do you shift from content delivery to an engaged learner? You're going to make students using technology, okay, with use of leaderboards, with use of badges, with the use of gamification. These are going to be newer techniques which the edtech companies have already started using. However, the parents who are now the newer generation parents, they understand technology very well, and they are really going to start focusing. And if we really talk of how is it likely to happen, they are going to say, my child is different. Can technology teach my student at a different pace, at a different rate, with a different level of education? And therefore, the complete evolution of personalized learning is likely to happen. And personalized learning will happen through adaptive learning, where individual student learning paths will get created based upon past performance and predicted performance. So the technology is going to play a lot of role. And once the urban youth, okay, urban parents start changing, the next generation of people, and of course the support from government, will also start happening. In fact, we are working, okay, with a few of the government agencies, and we are already seeing that governments which never favored technology education are now talking of bringing in, okay, a learning management system at the government school, at the government college level. And I think that change is now irreversible. It's a matter of how impactful. And currently, because of the uncertainty which is there, okay, nobody really knows, okay, how COVID is going to pan out, and there is going to be a lot of uncertainty. So therefore, okay, people are going to keep their feet in both the buckets. There is volatility, there is uncertainty, there is complexity, there is ambiguity, but that is going to be the new normal. But the pandemic is clearly the inflection point for technology enabled learning. So that's my take on this.
I think that confusion also probably results in clarity over a period of time, sir. And I think with this, right, I would want, I think we don't have much time. So I want to ask up a last question, which has to do with entrepreneurs who might be watching it, or maybe what you call people who want to get into education, but are not very clear, because there is a lot of competition. There is a lot confusion. Not many people who jumped into it are struggling, because see, opportunistic education models don't necessarily work always, right? So what are the tips? And the other part is that I think there's also a scope for not just entrepreneurs, but influencing teachers who are influencers. I think because the age of influencers has started picking up, and COVID did a big justification to this entire thing. So what do you think are the new opportunity areas which you see long term, maybe for the next decade, for entrepreneurs who want to start business or want to pivot something like that. I would like to hear both of their views, and then we'll probably wrap up the session.
Okay, so I'll go first. The opportunity is going to be like this. What we have seen, there is still one paradigm that has not been completely addressed, by the education system, is that we have children having different types of learning abilities. Some of them, are extremely great, from, what Mr. Manoj was saying, in terms of content delivery, the content delivery, the way it happens, it's not differentiated depending on the learning abilities of different students in the class. So the opportunity that is going to emerge is some teachers have the ability, let's say given a choice, if the whole class is divided into, let's say, 5 different groups, and each group belonging to a certain type of learning ability. Now they are able to adapt themselves to the learning needs of the individual students, and they are able to help them learn. Now, what is going to happen? Technology companies which are creating engaging content using all kinds of latest technologies, they are going to team up with these exceptional teachers, and then they have to create content, that would cater to students belonging to different learning abilities. So that is one great opportunity that I see emerging out of this pandemic situation, and the new awakening that has happened, that this is another way of learning. We don't necessarily have to go to school. So that's one great opportunity in my view is going to emerge, which will be where we will see that happening in the next decade or so. So that's something that is going to take care of a lot of learning needs in my view.
Okay, so Manoj sir.
Okay. So, for an entrepreneur, the biggest question that a person should really ask, because there are always going to be more ideas. Ideas are always there, and I think that our minds are fertile. So we do think, and India is a place for a lot of entrepreneurs, and it will happen. But it's important to keep in mind a few questions. First and foremost, what is the problem that you're going to solve? Now, of course, this is a question which lots of people ask. What is the problem, and what are you solving? In fact, I go a step further. I said, whose problem are you solving? Because once you decide whether you're solving the problem of the child or the parent or the school, you will know who is your primary target segment. There are lots of times that we get confused, that we have a problem and it will solve the problem, it will solve for parents and students and school. Sure, it will, but who's the primary one? Because the primary one is the one who's going to make a payment for it. So my next question really is, so first question is, what is the problem? Second, whose problem are you solving? Third, who is going to pay for it? Because if you don't pay for it, you still don't have a business model, especially from an entrepreneur's perspective. And if I have answer to these three, then I think we are at a space where the next question comes up saying, what not to do? Because there is so much that we can do, we do tend to get into doing, let me do this and let me do that, maybe something will work out. And by doing that, we may be spreading ourselves too thin. So it's important to also know what not to do. Keeping in mind that, okay, I think the big trends which are really there is, one is, of course, there is going to be a lot of technology adoption at schools. So anything to do with supporting technology in schools or colleges is going to be there. There is a lot which is likely to happen at the virtual tuitions, okay, that are happening. I think Abhishek did mention of this earlier part, where virtual tuitions are coming up. Upskilling and reskilling, okay, is going to be a big thing which is going to happen, and therefore focusing on those areas. And remote learning is going to take a lead, which will really bring about areas that one can think of. So if one is really looking at starting up at this point or pivoting at this time, if one can focus on these are good starting points. One has to, of course, go much deeper. But at an entrepreneur level, it's very important to know that, am I solving a problem? Whose problem am I solving? Who's going to pay for it, and what not to do? If I get these few answers, we are on a path to making a good future.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for that crisp and clear answer. I hope all the entrepreneurs or wannabe entrepreneurs who are watching it gets value out of it. So before wrapping up, we have a couple of question and answer session which came from the moderator. So do we need to worry about health issues and mental health in the times of increased usage of technology by school children? Who wants to answer that?
Yeah, the answer is definitely yes. Like I mentioned, especially in school children, mental health, it's school is a lot about social skills and interacting with others. Peer learning is a very important part. Meeting friends, creating friends, okay, and those abilities are never taught using technology. So
Playing together also.
yeah. So you have to be staying together. There, if there are lockdowns which are happening, then of course you really can't do too much. But can we use technology to develop some social skills? Okay, if that is something which is possible, I think one should aim at, because especially for school children, even the elderly, like even people like you and me, okay, sometimes get fed up of working from home.
Definitely.
How much do you work from home?
Yeah.
Okay, you get bored because you're sitting right in front of a screen. Okay, so one definitely has to take care of that. Sure, and therefore a regular exercise regime, okay, becomes another important part of keeping the health up also.
I come, I completely
Yes.
agree. Like he said, a sound mind in a sound body. So definitely the mental health issues, not only of children because of overdose of technology, but at the same time,
Of
parents as well,
adults.
who are stuck at home, who are facing the same people from morning till evening and night till morning. So that's something, that we need to take into consideration. And like so Manoj rightly pointed out, the physical health is absolutely important. Those regimens will definitely help alleviate these issues.
Yeah,
So
and I think
this
Sandeep, earlier you had mentioned about parents saying, "Bachcho ko let them go to school. We need
correct.
some free
Some
time." So it
space,
will also
yes.
help solve their problem as well.
Yeah, yeah. This is interesting, sir, because fundamentally, initially they said we can figure it out. I also remember a distinct conversation between one of the parent and a school, where this was a mother, and she was saying that I'm really pissed off with the school. I never thought, though I sent them to an ex school, I don't want to take the name. They said the teachers are so pathetic. I think I know the subject better than the teacher there. So I think, and I want to teach. And all of a sudden, after a month, he said, no, it doesn't matter who is the teacher. Send them off. That 6-8 hours of bliss we want. So I think, as you rightly said, that's an important thing. There's a follow-on question to that. So will cyber security and IP protection be a concern in India? And how do we address this challenge?
Uh, well, this of course the first thing is we need to have proper cyber laws in the country and IP laws in the country, which people like you and me don't have too much of a role to play, except be able to share with the appropriate bodies
Oh, yes.
and give the inputs to the government to create those laws. Because the first and foremost thing is, if I have a boundary condition created by way of laws, okay, we will start feeling protected. Second is, I think, and I come from the LMS background where we do have a large amount of content. And in fact, we as a company, as TechBharat, we provide technology to various competitors. So people in coaching center space, there are some 5 or 10 coaching centers, okay, which are using TechBharat technology. But we also ensure that all content is kept separate, IP is there, and very important is all content should be well encrypted. If we really follow good encryption norms, we have a very good probability of keeping it extremely safe. That's what we haven't had a problem on this front till now, and keeping our fingers crossed.
Rangarajan sir, you have anything to add?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. Because of the COVID situation right now, with more and more companies coming into the fray, definitely because of extremely high levels of competition, there are going to be issues related to, data security and IP related issues, that needs to be looked into. I agree that, it's the need right now.
So, okay, sir, I think we have just almost crossed our time limit. So I think I thank both the panelists, Bhaskaran sir, Manoj and Abhishek, who is not here currently. I had a beautiful learning session. I now pass it over to Chaitra.
Yeah, on behalf of Tech Bharat, I actually thank you all for joining this session and taking through us and taking out time from your busy schedule and accommodating us and sharing your thoughts and opinion about this discussions.